Good. Look at that, we had a couple seconds to do some quick training. Miss Strack had it figured out, but
Yeah.
you gotta train the new person in. All this. He didn't give you all that, huh? Let's give him grief about that. All right, 6 o'clock, we will call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Monday, January 5th, 2026 Credit River City Council meeting. We will begin with approving or amending the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda that anybody'd like to make? Steve, I think you said you had one. Whatever you do, don't run the microphone like Steve.
No.
I do, Mr. Mayor.
One's in backwards.
Could be. I would like to strike 7.8 from the agenda, please.
Okay. Any other changes to the agenda tonight? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion by Schomer, second by Zonto. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move to the sheriff's report. Deputy Schmidt. If you want to turn your microphone on. Oh, hit it one more time. There you go.
So we have about 3 pages of ICRs, activity. Majority are medicals, then we have alarms, we have traffic, and the rest is miscellaneous, which I can go through if anybody wants, but.
Anything out of the ordinary or anything that's light comes to mind?
I would say these are probably the biggest average groupings of things. I would say traffic, I don't know about recently, but traffic is always a big one. We get a lot of traffic complaints, a lot of medicals, especially during the day.
Okay. Perfect. Council members, any questions for Deputy Schmidt?
Nope.
Perfect. Thank you, Debbie. You know what, you can leave it on because we're gonna do open forum here pretty soon, so thank you. Have a good evening, stay safe. All right, we'll move to consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda which are considered routine or non-controversial are included as part of the consent agenda. Unless a council member specifically requests that an item on the consent agenda be removed and considered separately, items on the consent agenda are considered under one motion, a second, and a vote. Any item removed from the consent agenda shall be placed at the end of general business. Tonight, on consent agenda 3.1, minutes from the December 15th, 2025 City Council meeting. 3.2, approve payment of claims and transfer requests as presented. Is there anything on consent agenda that any council member would like to remove and consider separately? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Jay.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Motion by Soderbach, second by Markert. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Public forum. The public forum is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address concerns to the council. The public forum be no longer than 30 minutes in length, and each presenter will have no more than 5 minutes to speak. Topics of discussion are restricted to local governmental topics rather than private or political agendas. The council may discuss but will not take formal action on public forum presentations. Mr. Burke, I have you signed up as wanting to speak for open forums. If you don't mind stepping to the podium, please.
Hi, I'm Paul Burke. I live on 196th Street. I have 3 topics I wanted to touch on. I read an article in the Star Tribune recently about non-disclosure agreements signed by municipalities against, in my opinion, the best interests of the citizens. And I'm requesting to know whether or not our city has ever entered a non-disclosure agreement of any kind with anybody. Whether we have or not, I would like to suggest that maybe there be a resolution that the council puts forward to assure everyone that that will never happen in Credit River. This had to do with building data centers. My second point, The junkyard at 19555 South Fork Drive is continuing to grow. I know some of you are aware of that situation. A homeowner is turning his yard into a junkyard. And I'd like that to be addressed as soon as possible. I believe the last time I touched base with anybody on this, it was on some legal thing we were waiting for our policies and procedures to catch up with it, and I think that's happened. But I can't figure out why that junkyard is still there. The third thing I want to talk about is Google Maps lists Murphy Lake Boulevard as County Road 75 still. Used to be that, right? Now, when people come to visit me, they often rely on Google Maps and they complain that they had to drive over gravel roads to get to my house. And I've asked the city administrator to address that because only the city, I checked with Google, only the city can request a road name change. I can't request it, they won't let me. So I would like that to happen. I had it happen, another instance of it this Christmas season, where somebody came to my house, relied on Google Maps and came down a gravel road. I think my 5 minutes are up. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. Steve, if you'll follow up with Paul with his answers to his questions as appropriate. Perfect. Anybody else for open forum tonight? Going once, going twice. Hearing none, we'll close open forum, move to general business. General business 7.1, resolution 2026-01, making official designations to council and official designations and council approvals. This is at the first meeting of every year. We work through items like the official designations, which are, banks and publishing pieces. So these are the items that we need to consider on this resolution. Does anybody have any comment on, I guess we could start with the designations about, newspaper. We don't have a whole lot of choices for publication, depository.
Are we able to no longer do that for the new legislation? Has that passed through yet or not?
It did to a point, but I don't think it completely gets us out of publishing.
What are we required to do?
Yeah.
That's I don't. What we need to do for this year is exactly what you've got in this resolution. And we'll keep track of anything that will reduce this kind of artifact of a requirement.
My recollection of the legislation that passed last year was that it gave cities that didn't have an option within that served it to publish online.
Okay.
But since we have a newspaper that serves half of Credit River, I think we're still required to publish. Any other comments on the depository or newspaper? Okay, so we'll move into we got a couple appointments to make. We've got acting mayor and a couple committee appointments to make. Those are listed in the resolution. I do think that there might be one missing though. We have typically had a liaison to the planning commission, 2 liaisons to the planning commission that are not listed in this one. It's all right, Linda.
Okay, we can add it.
We can add it. Yeah. So in the past, this past year, working down the acting mayor, Leroy was the acting mayor. Bill and I were liaisons to the planning commission. We also have appointments to scale. We had 2 representatives to general scale, and then we had, as typical, the mayor appointed to the executive committee at scale. Yeah, Leroy.
I wouldn't mind doing acting mayor again. I wouldn't have minded last year, but I was taken off that. And if I recall right, Mayor, you had said that you want to, you want to rotate that position. So I would hope that you would nominate Abe as being the acting mayor for next year. Or for this.
This
coming
year.
Yeah.
26.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion on that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do scale again.
Okay,
And I guess if acting mayor is open, I'd be interested myself too. So.
okay. So let's finish, why don't we finish a couple of these ones? So let's connect on planning commission. Does anybody else want to do that one?
I'd like to continue. I'm gonna go to the meetings whether I'm on it or not as a resident, so.
Okay,
I don't,
I'm fine continuing on with it as well. You know,
Yeah, great.
perfect.
Abe's saying that's one more night that I don't have to come here.
Yes.
I can see the look on your face going, please don't pick me for that. All right, so we'll do Bill and myself to continue on with planning commission as long as we're all good with that. Let's tackle scale. So Jay, you had interest in continuing on with the scale piece.
I'll do it too.
Okay,
I'm
the
gonna
one-
go no matter.
Yeah, you can time and time again. The hiccup I think is it's likely that I'm gonna be chair of scale this year, so that might put three of us at scale on some of those Fridays, but we can just publish it. Which is fine. Yeah, we can just post it and it'll be fine. Yeah,
You're just
Okay.
gonna post the calendar once, right? You don't have to do it every time, do you?
yes. It's
Second Friday.
Second Friday,
Second Friday.
correct. Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. All right, simple. And then now let's go back to acting mayor. I'm fine with any of you guys taking on that one if, you know, I don't mind it rotating around a little bit.
Yep.
Which is fine. It's always good to give somebody else an opportunity to, you know, do that. Let's just leave us with who's gonna flip the coin between Jay and Abe.
You can have it.
Okay, you
Perfect.
good with that?
Yep.
We all good with that piece then? Okay. Sounds good. All right, with that, I think Linda, you got all those notes? Perfect. With that, then I would take a motion to approve resolution 2026-01, making official designations and council appointments.
So moved.
Thank you, Jay.
I'll second.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion by Siderbock, second by Schomer to approve resolution 2026-01, making official designations and the council improvements. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to 7.2, the fee schedule for 2026. Again, first meeting of every year. This is another one of the items that we review. So this ordinance would be 2026-01 for the ordinance and 2026-02 for the resolution approving the summary of the ordinance for 2026-01 and ordering the publication of said summary. So if you've all had an opportunity to read the ordinance and the fee schedule, any comments or questions for staff on that? Not hearing any. If somebody is ready to approve, I would take a motion to approve.
Sorry. Please.
It was brought to my attention that there was two little changes that we made on this ordinance. I used the word revoke, I believe, and it was supposed to be repeal. So where it was the words for revoked, I put repeal in there. And I also removed the language about the publication in the ordinance because that was not needed per our attorney.
Okay,
So I did tweak it just a little bit, but it didn't change any meaning of anything.
Yeah.
So
Linda, is that what's reflected in the,
in the current one,
on our packet?
yes, I changed it
Okay.
out. So yes, and then that's the one that's going to be online.
Okay,
So
We pass right now is the correct version.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
Yes,
perfect. Thank you, Linda.
yes.
Can you just clarify a little bit more what we're talking about?
Section two, revocation, is that what you're saying? And it should
Yeah,
be
yes.
repealed instead of revoked
Yeah.
in two spots?
Let me s-
According to what I'm seeing in front of me, packet.
On the website, if you look on the website, it is updated. I did update it. So
Okay.
and I did double check it. So, but yeah, I had the word revoke here and it's supposed to be repeal.
Yep.
And I had revoked there also,
Yeah.
and it's repealed. And then there was an extra sentence on section 3 that stated about the publication
You
that,
removed that.
yeah, that was
Yep.
removed. It,
Okay.
it doesn't do anything to the ordinance, but
Right.
it just fine tunes it,
Perfect.
tweaks it.
Any other questions on that?
So do we have to make a motion as amended? Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-01 as amended.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm sorry for the confusion. We're not adopting an amended ordinance. And so it should be a motion to approve the ordinance as presented on the website or whatever you have that is. where
In the
that current
official packet.
ordinance is.
Withdraw my motion and I'll
So,
start over. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-01 as reflected on our city website.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
I'll second it.
Can we verify? I just refreshed and I'm not seeing that.
Is it-
My,
did you go under city council and,
Oh, it's in the meeting packet? The new meeting packet that was posted?
yes, if you go under the government and go to city council and hit 2026, the agenda packet,
Yeah.
it should be there because that's where I printed mine off of. And it's changed.
So that's. Sorry, but that's what I had was,
Yeah, I got the same,
Is it?
yeah.
So-
Let's approve it with
With those
with the
changes?
noted
With those
changes.
noted changes.
Yeah.
that'd be better.
Are you okay with
Right,
that?
again, Bill.
Motion, you, okay with amending your motion, Bill?
Yes, I'll withdraw that motion and offer this motion to approve ordinance 2026-01 with the changes we have discussed.
Are you still okay second?
Second.
Okay,
Right?
got it right. No, you're good. So I've got a motion by Markert, second by Schomer to approve ordinance 2026-01, setting certain fees for 2026. All with the noted changes as discussed by the clerk. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Here none, motion passes. The last action on this particular one would be to approve resolution 2026-02, approving the summary of the ordinance 2026-01 and ordering the publication of said summary.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Abe.
Second.
Thank you, Jay. Motion by Zonto, second by Soderbach. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, next up, it will be 7.3, City Council bylaws. Again, our bylaws call for approval and adoption at the first organization meeting of each new year. This is our opportunity to make changes to this agenda to the bylaws if we so do wish. Anybody have?
Yeah, I do have two proposed changes I'd like to make on page 8 of bylaws, 34 packet. 502.7. Before the last sentence, I'd like to put in there, in the case of the agenda being amended, a notification should be sent out so the public and all council members are aware of this amended agenda.
Is that just an added things? Just adding that?
Yeah, an add before the last sentence. Do you want me to repeat it again?
Which one was it?
Right.
502.7. So right
Okay.
before it's, the sentence before says, and if an item arises after the agenda is posted, that should be addressed before the next council meeting. Every effort should be made to amend the agenda prior to the meeting. I'd like to insert after that. In the case of the agenda being amended, a notification should be also sent to the public and sent out so all the public and all council members are aware of this amended agenda.
Okay. Any comment on that one?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I went out of order. I'm gonna go back 2 pages. So page 32 of the packet, section, page 6, sorry, section 306. I can find that again. I'd like to make a 306.3, which is a notification should be sent out so the public and council members are aware of the meeting and the agenda. I don't see anywhere in there that says we notify the public on a meeting or the agenda.
So it's not a material change in what we're doing. It's just putting it in writing,
Put
basically.
it in writing. We're doing that already.
Yes.
But I'd like to put that in writing so that it's there. But I think the 502.7 is something I'd like to adjust.
Yeah. And that's best practice, I think, for the most part that we're doing already anyways. Sometimes.
Not amendments. There's many times that I look at it when it comes out and then I'll have it up on my screen and then there's an adjustment.
Sure.
Right, like this last meeting, 7 was added
So
on Saturday.
Well, actually, this last meeting, I think in fairness, as Steve and I were talking about earlier, I don't think it ever got emailed out.
that is true.
True, but when
Mhm.
I clicked on the website, it got changed.
Yeah.
So we're just asking that an email go out if.
Yeah, if it's
Mhm.
changed, then public's notified
Yeah.
and the council's notified.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay. I've got two that I'd like to discuss too, and I actually put these in writing for everybody. Two things that we've discussed in the past, I think worthwhile at least having a conversation about. Pass that down. So, we've talked in the past about, authority and direction of staff from council members. I'd like to propose this following amendment to section 204 that, kind of sets this up. And I think in the past, the last time we had this discussion at council meeting, I think, Abe, one of your things on this was that emergency situations and administrative matters where like payroll and stuff like that need to be addressed so that you can have those conversations. So I think I addressed that in the exception area of this one, but in general, it's really that the council should exercise its all authority and oversight to the city administrator, and the city administrator then would work with staff to solve the situation or get the question answered.
So Steve, you don't want anything, you don't want to be copied on anything. You want to get every request, even though you're going to have to go to the finance director, for example, to have that person answer. Is that what you okay with that? Says all requests for information, documents, research, analysis, staff action shall be directed to the city administrator.
And then the city administrator would ensure that council members receive sufficient information necessary to fulfill their policymaking and oversight responsibilities, while balancing staff workload and operational priorities and efficient use of public resources.
And so what that means is that we can't ask Claire a question. We can't ask Sue a question. Even if it's a clarifying question from the meeting before, the night before, or a budget question, they all are going to have to funnel through Steve. Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah. So
I
if
think
you
that's
think back
incredibly
about
inefficient.
looking at, back at our workshop last week, kind of the funnel, right? The funnel system. Steve's at the top of that funnel and,
But if he gets
Has to-
copied, he sees it, Chris. If he gets copied, he sees it,
I
and he can
understand.
push back right away and say, that's ridiculous, or he could say, you know what?
Mhm.
Steve, are you comfortable with getting every single thing? 'Cause I don't care, if that's what you, if that's what you want.
If that's what the council wants, then I'm fine with that, yes.
So can we define staff? What is staff? Is that Claire or is that not Claire?
That would include consultants.
Okay.
Especially consultants, because I think that's an opportunity where I think, council are going direct to consultants, like if somebody go direct to Peter, Peter charges us for that, right? So there's, when Steve may have the answer to that, or Steve may have a more efficient way of getting that answer, whether it be through a staff meeting or some other way where if Pete's already on the clock, we can get that answer without a separate charge for that.
Okay.
I think that's kind of the crux of the whole thing, right? Is Steve's at the position, operationally in the organization where he can, combine some opportunities for efficiencies, especially working with consultants.
So when a resident calls Leroy and talks about plowing, he cannot call Gallagher's. Is what I'm hearing you say.
I haven't for
Okay.
6 months now. I always contact Steve since it started.
Mm-hmm.
Sense. It's good policy. Does that apply to the planning commission as well?
It's a good question.
Like if I have a question, like a planning commission member, I have a question about a packet. Would they be able to do it clear, or should they go through Steve and have Steve contact where?
According to these bylaws, you would have to go through, everything goes through Steve.
Don't believe that these bylaws say anywhere that this affects the planning commission.
Well, it should.
Yeah, if we're not gonna let our council members talk to our,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then that would be another piece. Then we should, if we're gonna ask, but because right now this is the purpose of the Credit River Council bylaws to provide members of the city council with a set of operating procedures designed to guide them during council meetings. It doesn't say that it has the same rules apply to planning commission.
You understand though, that it doesn't make sense.
All I'm saying, Bill, is that today, as it's written, it doesn't say that it includes the planning commission.
All right.
If we want to make it so, we can.
What are we, what's the advantage of making this change? What are we doing? If today the emails are going to, for example, Claire, but copied Steve, what advantage are we gonna have by just sending it to Steve and Steve is going to send it to Claire?
Again, Steve may have the opportunity to be more efficient about staff's time in responding to the request. Right? Because Steve meets with staff regularly. He's here on a daily basis. He can combine, again, especially when it comes to consultants, that the meter runs every time we send him an email. Steve has more efficient opportunities to get those questions answered without that meter running, or the meter's already running to a different subject.
So we're gonna save money by doing this, is what you're saying?
That I would suggest that there's a possibility that could be.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Another exception, what happens if we have a challenge with the city administrator? We need legal counsel.
I'm okay with that as well. If there's
Not that I have a problem with you, just. Just to clarify.
So are we looking for amendment for that?
I get what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, I just want to make sure that,
yeah,
It's
if
written in a way
if
that-
there's something else that we need to cover, this is just a proposal, right? And,
Mr. Mayor, may I make a couple of observations?
Mhm.
First of all, adding that exception is relatively easy. I was reading to see where we fit in, but that's simple thing to change. Two observations about the way this is set up. Number one, it puts the city administrator, hopefully Steve forever, in the position of perhaps having to tell council no. That I need my staff to do something else. And so if you adopt a policy like this, it's important that council recognizes they need to back the city administrator's allocation of resources. And second, to Councilmember Margaret's question, I don't personally see myself as a member of staff. I'm counsel to the city. And so I'm trying to speak as an observer, hopefully an informed observer. When a staff member receives a request from a council member, that automatically goes to the top of their queue. It's always going to be automatic priority. Council member wants to know. City administrator may have other priorities and can help staff figure out where the council member requests go, which is completely separate from the potential efficiencies. That's another reason why it's important to allow the city administrator to decide how resources are prioritized, not necessarily whether a question gets answered, but whether it's number 3 that day or it's number 1 that day or whatever. But I think that's an important aspect of I use the term funnel. I wasn't at your workshop, but of having the city administrator be the decider of how staff's working that day. That's for what it's worth. And I may have stepped out of line a little bit by stepping into that area, but I just wanted to offer those observations.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. Steve doesn't have a problem funneling everything. And if he's on vacation, funneling during vacation. Okay, fine.
Maybe we add another exception then is in the city administrator's absence. Having some way to communicate with staff.
We're talking about very few.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
Substitute funnel.
what if, another example, because this was brought up with the former city clerk where I had asked the city clerk before meetings to ensure that the audio was working because it hadn't in a couple meetings. I want to be clear, from now on, we talk to you, Steve, even when we're here. So if something's not working or I get a text saying that the audio is not working, I come to you, even though.
No, the last sentence says during the meeting, we can,
Oh, did I missed it?
Yeah.
Where's that?
last
The
sentence,
last paragraph.
last paragraph.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Well, this is before the meeting.
Yeah.
Well,
That
usually as the
that
meetings-
happened, that
as the
happened,
meeting
and I don't know
does-
if that was one of the reasons why the former city clerk was upset, because I asked her to make sure that the audio was working.
Gotcha.
I don't know. So how do we handle those? Just go to Steve for those things before the meeting? At least
If it's about the audio working, the meeting starting generally when that's happening, right? I mean, that technically is part of the meeting and usually we all figure that out pretty quickly and try to stop and adjust.
Well, we've had meetings where the audio didn't work last year, 2 of them.
We've tried to solve them as best we could immediately. One of them we couldn't because it needed a configuration change.
Right, I don't think we knew about them, but okay.
Your first point, did you want to try to make sure we had that in? What was that? I mean, if you're gonna.
About
Yes,
opportunity
okay.
to talk to attorney when a legal matter
Yeah.
arises.
I think I'd recommend 3 things is define staff. And then have an exception for legal counsel in the event of a city administrator issue. And then fourthly, have some kind of exception in there when the city administrator is unavailable. What do you call unavailable? Define unavailable. Right, so if he's.
For an emergency situation.
But emergency situation is addressed by number 1, right? Emergency situations that require immediate action to protect the public health, safety, or property.
But there might be an emergency to get financial numbers to the auditor because they're gonna have the packet and he's unavailable.
That probably wouldn't come to council. That'd probably be a finance director thing in that situation.
Bill's pretty good with those numbers. I think we just have to have something in there.
Sure.
That just has, I don't know, some kind of language that says if the city administrator is unavailable and there's an urgent need. Or, I mean, this is really emergency number 1, is all about, health, safety and property.
Right, yeah, that's
But
like
more-
something's flooding and something needs to happen right.
Maybe you just
right.
add, to protect public health, safety, property, or an urgent business need.
Okay, good with that.
So. But then for two, allow speaking to legal counsel if pertaining to conflict with the administrator. We're just trying to figure out some wording to that we can all agree on.
I would
So-
recommend a more generic term than conflict, anything concerning the city administrator. If you
Mhm.
you'd rather,
Yeah,
While speaking to legal counsel, if pertaining to city administrator
but just, let's see, let me read that.
or communication, allow communication.
Communicate with legal counsel in matters,
Pertaining to city administrator.
sure,
In the second paragraph, could we, after city staff, define that? Staff and consultants.
And vendors and contractors,
It's probably true.
because we don't really have staff.
except as provided, so after that, city staff is defined as,
I actually thought that was great, vendors, and, I mean, because vendors and,
the vendors are technically staff or directed by staff. Yeah.
yeah.
City staff is defined by uh, full-time, part-time employees,
Contract consultants,
contractors,
consultants. And vendors.
Like vendors fit under staff.
not much, no. It would be a relatively unusual, right? The vendors should be going to
Yeah.
staff.
I'm fine having vendors in there, but you can't say staff is defined as a vendor. So if you were to, if you want to put vendor in there, you'd say from city staff and or vendors, and then staff is defined by what you had.
Okay. Okay,
So then you'd still leave. Contractors
mhm,
and consultants.
mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Good at that one. The other one is, because this keeps coming up, time of view here and there, and I think, a good discussion of the reasons, with our workshops and work sessions. I think my recommendation in this change to section 308 would be to change the requirement that work sessions, must be live streamed, and put them that they may be live streamed if the council approves on an individual basis. But I think when we had work sessions and workshops before, we had some really good conversations where, able to talk things through, items through, and it was a much better situation than our workshops have been since we started live streaming.
Well, our facilitator last week actually suggested that we didn't. In that case,
Actually, when I talked to him, he said he could see either way.
right,
Mhm.
but I'm just saying that.
So it wasn't that he said he would recommend not.
It's a policy decision.
Mhm.
I think we should have it live streamed. I think the public should be able to hear what we say, and if they disagree, they have an opportunity to ask us why we said that, instead of being secretive and
It's
hiding
not secretive
everything.
because it's an open meeting. It's always. an open
Right, but
meeting.
not everyone can make it to the meetings.
I understand that. I think the attitude of some people, or I shouldn't say attitude, I should say the people's positions and how they say things and it's a little more guarded situation. And I think it prevents us from having good conversations. That's my suggestion. If you guys aren't up for this, fine.
I think frustration and passion are part of this job. Showing your true feelings helps constituents feel represented and prevents the appearance of hiding something. It's consistent with our vision statement, our mission statement, our value statements that we're being transparent. Not everyone could, these folks attend mostly all the meetings. Most people can't attend these meetings or workshops or work sessions because of family or other commitments. To have it when they can see it at their convenience, it just helps them stay in tune with what we're talking about. It also helps us remember what we've said, what we committed to, so we can go back. I've gone back to multiple meetings to look at what we've decided, what we talked about. I don't understand why you can't be open and be recorded when it's not a closed meeting, it's an open meeting, and these folks out here tonight can hear what we're saying. What's the difference whether they're there or they're at home listening? There's no difference.
There is, Bill. Everybody's different when the camera's on and you're being recorded. Everybody's different.
No, they're not, Chris.
We all are, Bill.
No, we're not.
I've had conversations with everybody here and
Not with me, you haven't.
we've had.
I'm telling you, I'm not.
It's different when the cameras are on.
How is it different, Chris? Give me a meeting that we.
People are a lot more guarded. There.
Guarded
It's
with
true.
what though? If you're not gonna if you're not gonna tell the fellow council members how you feel, how do we get things straightened out?
That's what I'm suggesting, that we haven't been and we aren't getting things straightened out, and that's 25% of our problem, I feel, that we don't have good conversations about these items that we're asked to make decisions on.
I think it just gives the wrong impression of the lack of transparency. Whether it's true or not, I don't know if it really matters, but that definitely sends that. It's already hard enough to find it when you're trying to locate it. So I think making it at least available is a step in the right direction. I would strongly suggest we stick with the language we have.
I would concur, and if we're gonna, I can't vote in favor of this, so I hope we're gonna bifurcate the motion to make the changes and have this one separate, because otherwise I'm gonna have to vote. I'm fine with the first one we talked about. I'm not fine with this one.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I go both ways on this thing. But, on the other side, when you have a policy that says that you can never alter from that, then, that means that you're always following the one thing, and even if it doesn't make sense, you're not really able to change that. But if we were to do something like add in prior to the start of the meeting, council will have the decision on whether or not to record a work session. All of the other ones should be.
That's not fair.
But
You'd have to.
It'd have to be,
Exactly.
yeah, I get that, but I was gonna make that comment, Paul,
Right.
so yeah. It'd have to be decided ahead of time.
Right, I guess that's
Mhm.
something where, if we're gonna do that, maybe we have a requirement that there is a decision made to do that. Then, if you're looking at transparency or whatever, then the council is always, people are always they're throwing their decision out there. Everybody can see their decision. They can decide whether or not they're trying to hide something. If that's the case, I don't think that's the case, but if we were to have an opportunity to decide whether or not to, I think that's or we have something, if we need to put a notice out that we can decide that it will be recorded prior to the start of it. And maybe the all work sessions are not, unless we decide to, but we need to make that decision. Do that in each case.
And that's what the language of this suggests, that there's an opportunity prior to
Yeah,
decide that if we were going to do those ones. Yep.
I mean, regardless, the meetings are always open.
Mhm.
I just think we have a genuine distrust in our public already. And so bringing down this to the local level is just adding that in there. Yeah, I really think live streaming it and recording it is the right way.
I agree, and I can see folks that are here, maybe they buy a tripod and have to record it themselves. Because that's not illegal, as far as I understand in the state. Anyone can record and then they could post it on YouTube if they want to.
Which is even worse for the council at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if anybody's ready to make a motion for any of this, we'd,
I'd like to make a motion that we separate these, and I'll make a motion to approve. I don't remember all the changes we made, but
I don't
on the
think you need to
first-
separate it. I think if there's one that you don't want, you can say that, Bill.
Okay,
You can make a motion to accept changes X, X, and X.
I'll make a motion.
okay, go
Then
ahead.
what it is. I'll make a motion to accept the section 204 changes breakfast by the mayor with the exceptions and the definitions of the staff as stated. And also adding 306.3 and adding sentence right for the last sentence of 502 point.
306, what, 307? 306, okay, yep, 306. That three, okay. And then what was the last one again?
502.7, adding
That's
that
the
last
one,
sentence, adding that sentence before the last sentence.
Okay, and a motion by Zanto. Anybody want a second?
A second.
Motion by Zanto, second by Markert, to approve the 2026 city council bylaws with the changes to section 204, adding section 306.3 and 502.7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Move into 7.4. Contractor for general planning services. Administrator Jelinski.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Back in November, we put out an RFP for planning services for general planning, and we posted that for about 6 weeks. That went on our website and on the league website, and we received one proposal. Thankfully, that was from our current planning company, MSA. That proposal is in the packet, and if you have any questions, our planner is here to answer any questions. We did waive the interview period or the interview plan for that. There wasn't multiples for that, so the staff is recommending approval for the contract. That's a 5-year contract. It's a good contract.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Bill.
When we lost our city planner, contract planner, in 2024, I think it was, or 23, I can't remember. The former city administrator had reached out to, we had received 3 different quotes. Did we reach out to the other 2 that responded then?
I did not reach out personally to them. I just put out the RFP.
Okay. I'm satisfied with what Claire and her company has done. I'd like to see, I'm surprised that we didn't get any other response. And I'd like to postpone approving this, and maybe you can reach out to the other 2. I don't know. She never mentioned what 2 other vendors that responded to our one. it was a March 2024, I think it's a March 2024 meeting that we approved MSA. Yeah, March 18th, 2024. So maybe you could give them a call and say, did you see that we're sent out an RFP, and see if they want to respond. Maybe it was the holidays and nobody was looking. I don't know. It's a big contract. It's a lot of money, and just I'd be comfortable seeing a counter proposal just to make sure that the rates are market. I mean, you said that it's a good contract. Did you compare the rates against any other firm?
Just to the current rates that we're
Okay.
paying now, and
Okay.
they're good compared to what we're paying for a planner. So
And then the second thing I had, a couple clarifying questions. So today, can I ask Claire? Do you do the permitting, the daily permitting?
I assist with it, but John Schwartz, who is on the proposal, 'cause
MFA does it.
yeah, but
Okay.
he's a lower rate.
Yeah.
That's why we have him doing that. So
Okay,
be
but
conscious
MSA
of
does the
it.
permitting today.
Currently, yeah,
Okay.
in the interim.
Are there key performance metrics, meaning if he gets an application today, we have like, it has to be responded to, it has to be completed, or it has to, there's some type of index that we goals or objectives that we have where we make sure that things are being done. And the reason why I bring this up is that this is all hearsay, but I saw a comment on Facebook about our permitting process is taking too long. I received a text message saying that our permitting process is taking too long. And I don't know if that's true or not, but do we track how timely we are? And if not, I didn't see that like in in the proposal where you guys are committing to responding and completing, and I don't know what the right
Sure.
one's metrics would be, but
Sure, I can lend a little insight to that. So I review John's time card, so I know how much he spends, at least an hour, depends on what the influx of the applications is daily, but he's checking it daily. Some of it is that unfortunately the Citizen Serve software, if it's landed in someone else's bucket, it does not notify the planner or whoever that it's being held somewhere, and it goes off of our dashboard. So when we get those phone calls and we type in an address, we can see, oh, well, it's here because it's in erosion control review. But then it goes off of our dashboard because it's no longer assigned to the planner. So that's, I think, a little bit of where some of that, it gets stuck where or even, I mean, multiple people have the planner login. I think that's how you can look at it too. I think we all share a login. So that's part of where it gets delayed.
so who's responsible for kicking it out or getting back to the erosion people saying, hey, what are you doing with this thing?
When we get notified by an applicant, we'll look it up and we do that. But like I said, there's so many addresses and things that again, it's no longer on our dashboard. So there's no way for us to track it unless someone has called us and asked about the status of it.
So do we have any goals today as a city that if we get an app, it's kind of like with the planning commission, we have 60 days to do to make a decision. Do we have anything for these minor permits and major permits?
no, and it really depends on what type of permit it is and how many, each permit is different and how many people have their hands in it. Because if there's engineering involved, then the engineers have to look at it, if soil and water is involved, and sewer, all these people have to take a look at this permit, and depending on how long they have it, when they approve it, it sits there until it gets kicked out to someone else, and like Claire said, then they don't get notified of that.
We can assign deadlines. So like planning does the initial review. We make sure, is it a complete application? Then we push it out to engineering, Scott County for septic review, and then soil and water before it goes to the building inspector.
Okay.
So we can assign and adjust the deadlines of when, but all it does is turn that person's thing red because they're 2 days past due, or whatever, cause that's how it shows up on ours, if there's something that's.
So is there, so Leroy actually was next, so.
Like, so say Claire is efficient on what she's doing and everything, and the resident doesn't get the information back. We run into this all the time. The resident doesn't get the right information back and this drags out, I'm sure then it falls off of her,
Mhm.
off of her dashboard. It'll work.
I guess I have a couple questions. It seems really odd to me that we would not have some sort of a master list that you could generate by this software. You know, is there a way that we could do a master spreadsheet, which would essentially track all? You know, and then there just needs to be some sort of an oversight somewhere, whether it be through city staff or through the consultant or whatever, where we always make sure that somebody just has to, you know, at least do a weekly, go down the list and make sure that these things, that something is moving or, you know, or it's not. But it just, to me, when somebody says that it fell off the list or it fell off my dashboard or it got removed because it's waiting for, you know, it's going through its process, that's really, really bad project management. And, you know, there should be a way to generate some sort of master list, and then somewhere we're gonna have humans or the computer, one or the other, to look at it. And I don't know that this is MSA's problem as much as it's probably our problem. That we should be looking at that, because our goal is to move these things through as quickly as we can.
I was gonna say, I think that's where a permit tech would kind of come into play here, and where we've been waiting for that to gather that info.
So that's not something Mark does today at MSA. He doesn't make sure that he's not following, he's not.
He follows when they're assigned to him, and then when Linda receives a phone call, she passes it along to us, we check the status, but again, it's not on our dashboard, we have to search the address and it says, oh, because it's assigned to a different staff member. So that's the problem, is it's only on the planner account dashboard when the task is assigned back to the planner. And so I'm sure CitizenServe, I don't want to speak for CitizenServe, but it's likely they can do the master list like you're talking. We just likely need to have a meeting with them and see if we can, because in the interim of a permit tech, we absolutely can keep that track of that. It's just the way the software is set up. It's not there unless the task is assigned to us based on how
it just
spits it out.
It just seems like there's a hole in that whole thing.
Yeah,
So-
and we understand, I mean, when we can't find it and we have someone who's like,
Mhm.
where's my permit? You know, it's not easy for us either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think getting a little bit away from the agenda item, but Steve, I know you guys have worked with CitizenServe since you've been here to try to understand the system. Maybe it's worthwhile reaching out to try to understand if there is a master dashboard or something to see what things are in the queue. Would be a
I
good
think
idea.
I think there's a lack of a staff point person to
Mhm.
project manage that.
Okay, so then it wouldn't be fair to put in any performance metrics. In
Not until we have, not
contract.
until we have understand the,
All right.
It sounds like
The path.
a priority that we gotta fix.
separate from. You-
Steve, are you getting concerns from residents saying, where's my permit?
Not like we were in the summertime.
Just because of the
Just
season.
because of the time of the year.
Mhm.
So that priority of the permit tech has kind of not been there. And now we're past that budget time, and that has been in the budget for that position is going to come before the council here in the next coming week. So,
Mhm.
so that we can start to look for that before spring.
Could I make a motion to table this until next meeting and approve? I was okay with the rest of the contract, and approve it next time. Just give Steve 2 weeks to see if he can't reach out to other vendors to see if they missed it. And the two that we had talked to last time.
Could I have a question?
Hang on, so Bill has a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I would second that.
Second
Do
by
we, from a
Bill.
legal point of view with the RFP then need to change anything?
So if You do find there are others that would be interested. You need to reinitiate the RFP process. Open it up to be fair and treat everyone the same. MSA played by the rules on this one. If we're gonna reopen it, everyone needs to play by that new set of rules, whatever that is.
And I'm not doing this to say I'm dissatisfied. I'm just doing this to make sure that the rates that are market based.
So if I reach out to a couple and they're not interested, what would you like me? Just want me to
Well,
bring it
then-
back for,
I'm surprised. But
Well, with everybody gearing up for comp plans and all that, people might have a.
yeah, I also don't have any RFP submissions for the comp plan either. I'm just throwing that out there either, and that submission is due next, or on
Right.
Friday this
Yeah.
week, so.
Mayor, how many
you guys are gonna
proposals did we
respond.
receive? Did we receive any besides MSAs?
We received one.
Just
Amendment,
MSAs.
that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't have any other process of interviewing or
Yeah.
anything like
Okay.
that. Mhm.
Maybe one more question then. Is this public information, your rates?
Or what do you mean?
So the rates that you have on this RFP, is that public information?
Like, could somebody go to their website? and
Yeah, I
find
mean,
it?
instead of us going
it
back
is
and
now.
well,
It's
yeah,
in
I'm,
packet.
yeah, instead of going out and restarting the RFP process again, could we find those other companies on their website and find that same rate?
You might be able to
Unless they're-
search a city council meeting that has something
Yeah,
like.
and it may not, may or may not be,
It's,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
possible too, so because we enjoyed serving you as a client and wanted to continue to do so, these are reduced rates. These are not our full bill out rates. We, we have reduced mine, Emily's and John's, to continue our service to you as a city. So if you were to look at what my full rate is, this is discounted. So
Okay. Are the rates the same as this year?
they
Yeah,
have
okay.
increased.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you know what kind of percentage increase?
Because we were locked in for our 2024 rates for the past 2 years, we did not increase our rates in 2025. I don't remember. what
It's,
this one
it's
was.
very minimal.
Yeah, says maybe.
Okay.
Mhm.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
I understand the need to go get additional quotes and to do all of that, but at the same time. This is a public process of an RFP and everything else, and when you put out, you define what the characteristics of that RFP are. And you put it out and you get somebody to submit to it. And they provide you the quotes and the proposals, et cetera, bid. That their information becomes public. And then we're looking to go back out and essentially shop the bid, which is not really a great process. It might yield something, but over time, we'll get less and less people interested in submitting and going through the work to give that to us. And we may not get the best rates in the future. That's what I just say is I think we've offered this out. We've got a good partner in this, and it's done well. They've given us, by the administrators' admission, that they've given us a good rate. It's a good deal. He recommends we take it. I think that we didn't get anybody else to do it. We advertised for it. And, we went out and looked for it. It didn't come. I think that at this point, we should accept what we have. We should be happy with it because we're taking on a partner for 5 years. Without really any true escalation in their price for over 2 years. I think we should just, my suggestion is that we not table this, that we move on. We go ahead and accept this and do it. We take our administrator's advice. He says it's a good deal. We just follow through with it. What's that say to a partner?
I agree. Okay,
I can see that.
yeah. So I do have a motion and a second on the floor to table this. I think it's appropriate time to take that vote at this time. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Aye. So motion fails 1-4. Does anybody then want to make a motion in a different way?
Can I just make one statement before that motion? I mean, the whole crux of this was, we had a pretty tumultuous time when this planner, our previous planner left, and we just selected MSA. And that the whole purpose of this was to go out and make sure we found the right planner that we didn't have this process for. So that was the whole purpose. And I know Claire is not hopefully taking offense to it, but that was the whole purpose of it. So I can also understand the sentiment and can agree with that it does put maybe an unfavorable look on the city if we go back and shop it again afterwards. So
Agreed. Thank you.
I'm okay with making that motion to accept.
Okay, thank you, Abe. So I've got that motion.
I'll second.
And second by Satterbach. So motion by Santos, second by Satterbach to accept the proposal from MSA for planning services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Good discussion. Move on to 7.5 Simonette variances. Speaking of planning, Planner Strickler, this is your item.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is there's a lot of moving pieces to this, so I'll try and keep it as succinct as possible. So the applicant is seeking 2 variances to permit the rearrangement of lot lines that would allow for the development of 1 home site. These lots are located off of Credit River Boulevard, and then Dakota Avenue is kind of the T just to the south. Right now, these 3 different lots, there's 1 existing home site on a parcel that's about 4.48 acres. And then the other 2, one is a small narrow access drive that has kind of a dirt path to a back 20-acre parcel. So this new rearrangement would result in 2 lots. One would have the existing homestead totaling about 20-ish acres, and then the new rearrangement would have 1 house totaling about 5 acres. And so the variance is requested to make this rearrangement of lots work is a variance for the minimum road frontage, and then a variance for the lot width at the front yard setback. So because this would result in a home being built on it, the city has an ordinance that requires a home must be built on a platted lot. These lots are currently of meets and bounds legal description. So to go through the preliminary plat and final plat process, of course, we have to ensure that the lots are meeting these regulations. And at this time, due to the surrounding development of the lot, and that this lot has existed as a buildable lot since 1972, they can't make it, and they can't meet the current minimum width requirement at the road. And then the second one, again, due to the existing layout of surrounding development, the lot is unable to be any wider than proposed also at the front yard setback. Typically, this city code requires that, if it's a 150 lot width, that the home be set at 150, and they can't make that, and they can't move the home back further due to wetlands and shoreland overlay in the rear of the property, and they don't want to adjust the lot line to then make the current home non-conforming. Right now, as the proposed layout, the existing home would meet all setback requirements and things like that. So the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing at their December meeting, and the applicants and surrounding neighbors were in attendance. There is a letter in your packet on page 85 that further details the concerns of the surrounding neighbors, but generally the concern was the location of the driveway being close to the existing home and the increased traffic along that driveway that would be created with the additional home. And that creating this lot, they didn't feel was appropriate to the character of the neighborhood. And the applicants were also in attendance and spoke about the pre-existing lot of record that being considered buildable through Scott County recordings, and that they had received approval for a driveway permit from Scott County. There was some additional conversation about screening the driveway through the discussion after the public hearing with the Planning Commission. They did not add that condition in their motion, but the city, if the council so wanted after discussion this evening, does have the authority to condition the variance and add that if you so choose so, but the planning commission did unanimously vote to recommend approval of the two requested variances and felt that the landowner seeking the variance established the three practical difficulty requirements as required in the city ordinance and the Minnesota state statute. And I have those outlined in my report. I can run through them if you'd like, but.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first criteria is that, the circumstances unique to the property. It was findings of fact was that the pre-existing recording of this lot as buildable prior to the lot with minimums in the city ordinance and the natural features in the rear of the property prohibiting building back on that entire essential back half of the property is unique. That the property owners are requesting a reasonable use of the property. It's one single family home on a density lower than required in the zoning district. The rural residential requires 2.5 acres for one dwelling unit, and this would be 5 acres for one dwelling unit. And that the proposed reconfiguration does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood as it's adding one dwelling unit to 5 acres. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claire. Council members, questions or comments? No? Okay, you look like you
No.
were leaning up like you were gonna say something.
No, I did read the letter that the city received regarding the inconsistency with our comp plan and all that, and I tend not to agree with what was stated in that letter. To me, it is consistent. I do like the idea of adding in the developers agreement or whatever agreement that there's some way we can create a barrier or whatever. What do you call it? What was that?
Screening.
Screening, but I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how much money you save. You don't want to buy little shrubs that take 20 years to grow. And I don't know how we go about doing that.
There's been a driveway there since the 70s already. There's a driveway there today. We're not changing anything.
Right, there's no traffic
Right.
though, that's the.
Well,
at the
but so
meeting
for
I
one
heard-
house, right? One house, you're gonna have 4 trips, 5, 6 trips a day, maybe.
Right.
And how
then
many of those
we-
how many of those would be in the dark,
Right,
right? It's,
There's no way that this is gonna be split for. Right.
there's barely enough room to get this one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's not feeding stuff in the back.
No,
Mhm.
correct.
Okay. And it can't connect to anything else pass through that.
No, that 20 acres that's currently there backs up to the Crestview development. So all of those lots are platted and built on at this time. And there's no road, it's just a driveway. It wouldn't be a road.
Mhm.
That's actually what I think that current little strip was likely platted for many,
Was a
many,
road.
many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would actually be taking away that ability for it to become a future road.
Mhm.
Yeah, to Bill's comment, putting in a little bush and waiting 20 years for it to grow before it's effective is. That's one problem with that. The other is just putting in a bush and letting it grow and then not maintaining it.
Mhm.
And it dies,
Mhm.
where's the enforcement down the road on that?
Right, because once the variance is approved, the variance is approved.
Right, I mean, there's
Mhm.
no, which is, something you have to really think about. If you're gonna.
Whether it's worthwhile or not.
But, I, at the same time, I agree that that you have a neighbor that's got an objection to it, and. How do you get past that?
If I may, this application, if the variance were approved tonight, will come forward as a preliminary plat. Because right now they just didn't submit that application in the
Mhm.
instance that
Okay.
the variance wasn't approved. So there's future opportunity to look
Mhm.
at this. It will be a subdivision
Is
at a
it-
future meeting.
Is it true that when they're coming out of their driveway, or coming out of their home, it will flash, their headlights will go right into their house? That's what I heard at the meeting. Just say yes or no. Yeah. Yeah.
Are we gonna get a chance to speak or not?
The
No,
public
we-
hearing was held at the planning commission.
But
Yeah.
but that's what I heard. It's like the lights would go right into their, living room. And but we would have the opportunity to request, if we wanted to, a screening at that time with the preliminary approval of the preliminary plat.
Go ahead, Pete.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I would recommend council makes its policy decision about whether or not to attach this condition, but now is the time. The variance is an entitlement. They will be able to get a
Mhm.
plat approved without a further condition that's unrelated to something new that comes up. So I think that the decision is ripe now to be made about
So,
whether or not to
yeah.
condition the variance.
My thoughts are, I would like to hear some options that could be added as that, as a screen. You know, that's,
Could be a fence.
it could be a fence, but it has to be maintained.
Mhm.
You know, so that we have to, I mean, there's gotta be something. You know, what can we do to make that right, or at least to engineer a solution to that? Objections,
Mhm.
and make sure that it stays permanent and permanently enforced. You know, that's the only way that I could see giving a variance to that. So is there a recommendation of something that we could use past policies that have?
I'm not aware of any past policies since we, look at every variance as a individual, unique.
That's, yeah, I guess my question.
Yeah.
Or have you run across any solutions, unique solutions that might apply to this in things that you've seen?
Unfortunately, with screening, yeah, I mean, it goes on the onus of the property owner to maintain it. On a variance condition, we can't, to my knowledge, I mean, you can add language about the maintenance of the screening, not just you must provide X amount of trees, you can say, and continued maintenance to ensure, proper, division between the two property, some sort of language.
Is there room on that driveway to put in a fence or trees on the applicant's?
Well, the applicant is in attendance, so if you, I mean, I don't know if you want to ask him, if you want him to go to the mic, I'll leave that up to Mr. Mayor, but.
Is there, to the attorney, is there any particular language that could be used that in a covenant like that that basically would say must be maintained? Or would it be better to define the problem, which is headlights? Basically designing something that just is kind of open-ended, but then requires that a solution to that particular thing be provided and maintained. Where, so that it's perpetuity, then it could be, could be somehow enforced.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Soderbach, there are two mechanisms you could choose to adopt a condition like this. One would be essentially a performance standard that says you have to provide screening sufficient to protect such and such house from headlight glare.
It could be as general as that.
It could be. That will raise a question potentially about enforcement when there's a dispute about whether it's good enough. The other standard you could have is require, like we do, and I know Councilmember Markert mentioned the development agreement, you could require a specific installation. You must have a 6-foot opaque fence for X number of feet, or certain number of evergreen trees staged in a certain way, and maintained. Either one would be enforceable through the city's typical code enforcement methods. It would be just like any other violation of the zoning code if they were to fail to implement or maintain. And it would also fall within the city's general discretion about how to allocate limited code enforcement resources. Is this your highest priority if a couple of neighbors are not in agreement about whether the screening is adequate, et cetera? So it's messy. Is all, either pathway is a little bit messy, but waiting until there is a development agreement, if one's even required, depending on what this plat is going to suggest. There may not be any public infrastructure here that requires a development agreement. You may miss the opportunity, and you may also face an argument about whether or not it's too late. And so that's why I suggest now is the time if you're going to do it.
So that's why I'm kind of asking that, you know, is it better to create a standard that needs to be met? Versus us, because actually what we're looking at is. The five of us that are supposed to, in order to do this, would need to actually come up with a solution. And then vote to pass it, and we're not really the experts on that, and, you know, and I think that, but I think that if there is if there are conditions that are basically needing to be engineered around, if we provide the standard that needs to be met, and then let that go down the line, that we haven't missed that, correct?
Right. Mr. Mayor, if I may direct a question to the planner, where are we at on the 1599 timeline on this? Do we have time to go and see if we can get the two parties to agree on what the solution is and present a consented to condition? Or at least identify where there is a lack of consent and council will make the call.
Give me a minute to pull up that information. please.
Before we go through all this work, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
do you know, or can we ask the applicant, is there room to have screening next to their driveway?
What's the width on the plans of that?
Um,
That lot it's pretty wide.
it's,
It's gotta
It would be
be,
up by the house, all right, where it,
it's pretty much the same width. It's,
yeah, because that section of that's that long narrow piece that goes down from the house and the proposed there.
yeah.
950.
67, yeah. Yeah, 67.
And it's driveway's likely to be 12 feet wide.
Okay.
See how it should-
So Peter, while people are looking, is it better to be general or better to be specific in this case? Because like, listen to this language before you answer. Applicant will create a screening sufficient
Somewhere.
to shield headlights.
They say it's the house elevation. 54.
Or is that too general?
As I said, that's a performance standard that can work. There's a little bit of a loss of objectivity in a performance standard versus something like you shall have a 6-foot opaque fence or something like that.
Right.
But it's workable. The question comes up if the parties disagree about whether it's sufficient, particularly if you're going to be using, if the applicant uses live screening, like trees, bushes, things like that.
Well, I mean, you know, trying to do something that's not really an issue.
But it is an option.
Probably speak louder.
Yeah.
If we just provide a standard that says essentially that, you know, it's okay as long as headlights on this driveway don't wash the house. No, that's. You're basically stating the problem has to be solved. You're not directing how it should be solved, so there shouldn't, that removes a lot of mess. It just says that the result cannot be this. I think that might be the best way, is because it would take a lot of engineering, just, as Amir was just pointing out to me, there's a 20-foot elevation change. You know, over quite a
Over
distance.
1,000 feet.
Yeah, and so in order to just make sure that something doesn't occur, you know, from here, we're not going to plan that out. It's gonna take some calculations and everything else to do that. But I think if we wanted to move forward with that and just say that we want, you know, that's fine. You know, we have a time frame to do this. Best thing to do would be to, I like your idea. Is there time for them to get together and work out something, and then that can be the covenant that of the variance.
Well, it would be, do we have time to table it? Right, and I guess that's no.
No,
We
We're
don't.
at the
not
clock.
unless we did we have time to do an extension. We haven't done an extension yet, but
Can we do that and allow them a chance to work that out? Versus. at this point, then we would need to essentially set a condition that it can't violate in that, and then pass it on.
Mr. Mayor, we have a planning commission member here. Could we open that up to hear his thoughts of that discussion?
You can if he wishes to. I don't recall. I'm trying to think about the discussion that the planning commission had.
I thought both parties were willing to work together.
Yeah,
Or hear the
that's how it's
refer-
kind of- So now we're here and we're still don't have any kind of a solution.
Can we hear from applicants or planning commission?
Wouldn't mind hearing the applicant, unless Peter, you have something additional. He's shaking his head no.
Yeah,
But
you know, unless there's some new information, I'd struggle to be on the border of opening the public hearing again. Since the public hearing was open and closed at the planning commission. If we had some different information than what was presented from there, I would be okay with that. You know, I do look at,
the applicant claims they have different information.
no, that's not the applicant.
Oh,
That's the,
got
that's
it,
the neighbor.
got it. Sorry. Is the applicant here tonight?
The applicant is here.
Could we hear from both? 5 minutes each?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing from both.
You know, one thing I'd say, you know, you measure this from the neighboring home to where this driveway is 150 feet. And there's a lot of trees on this driveway stretch already. So are we,
Yeah, I heard it was an issue in winter, not necessarily in summer.
yeah, I wonder if we're trying to solve something that really is not an issue. If that distance, the proposed home site is 1,000 feet from the neighboring home. The driveway is 150 feet to the east of the existing neighboring home with plenty of trees and their garage. They have an accessory garage that is in between there.
I just thought the issue was the headlights coming out of the new home. It was gonna hit their house. Both parties are here tonight. Can we just listen to them, give them 3 minutes each?
Okay, yeah.
If you guys don't want to, that's fine. It's hard.
Brian, do you have anything that you'd like to approach council on? No? Okay,
Unless both parties are speaking, like, yeah.
yeah, well, it looks like the, neighbor would like to speak.
And
Okay.
You'll follow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do have to have you come up here though.
Alright, I'm just gonna read out this sheet. Just to get through this, 3 minutes, I guess we say, so.
Please try to keep it there. Yeah. thank you.
Yeah.
And do state your name and address, please,
My
first.
name is Matt Olson. I live at 7960 Credit River Boulevard. The property that the headlights will be hitting right next to it. And first off, I'd like to address that. My house is not 150 feet from this driveway. I measured literally this afternoon and it's 60 feet from the corner of my garage to where this driveway is gonna be running down the side of my house. So it's 60 feet away. Going back to the back, my house is set in an off angle where the driveway is gonna be coming in. Cause the way my house sits on the property is not straight with the driveway.
Mhm.
The driveway will be cutting across my backyard. All right, this is in response to what was sent on the 29th from your city planner to you guys to read or whatever. First, the staff states that the lot was plotted as buildable in 1972. The record does not support that conclusion. County records describe this parcel as recreational land with no building site. The property has consistently been classified and taxed as rural vacant land with no residential improvements. Even the applicant's own MLS listing treated residential development as uncertain, stating the property may be subject to a lot split. That listing offered the property for approximately $1.5 million, reflecting speculative development potential rather than an established building right. A variance cannot be used to create buildability where none previously existed. Without proof the lot was ever buildable, a finding of practical difficulty cannot stand. That's one. Second, the staff states that the hardship is unique to the property and not created by the landlord. The records show the opposite. The hardship existed only because the applicant chose to replat and reconfigure the lots in a way that created a non-conforming frontage usage. Wetlands and access limitations were known when the property was purchased and are documented in the county records. The applicant also attempted to market the property for high-value residential development before the requesting a variance. Minnesota law does not allow self-created or foreseeable hardships or financial disappointment to justify a variance. Third, the staff states that the variance will not change the essential character of the area. This finding is not supported. The record shows permanent driveway for a new residence would be located about 60 feet from an existing rural home. There is no analysis of headlight glare, noise, traffic, or loss of privacy. No buffering or screening is required. Without reviewing or addressing these impacts, the city cannot reasonably conclude that the character of the area would remain unchanged.
Could I stop you there? Because I have a question.
Yep,
The question I had is, have you talked to the applicant about doing a screen and would
we
that,
haven't, the applicant's been, well, living right behind us for whatever, and they've never once approached us about their plans for the land. So I feel like it's not my, whatever.
the issue,
I know you're not the applicant,
but if we could get the applicant to screen something, so it's, the headlights aren't hitting your front window, your back window, whatever window it's hitting.
Yep.
Would you be satisfied with that? I thought
that was an option if there was no other option, but what I'm listing here are contradictions to what was stated. Why this should
Understood.
pass and be a hardship, and you guys should request or.
Understood, and hopefully all of that stuff was in the planning commission records when they reviewed it.
This is a new information rebuttal to what was sent to you guys.
Okay,
And I haven't had a chance, we haven't had a chance to relay this information.
okay, thank you.
And I do have documentation too, and I got more to say. Can I say more or are we good?
I think we're, time's up.
Yeah,
Okay,
Thank you,
all right.
Matt. Brian, yeah, it is on, Brian. Just please state.
Brian Simonette. A lot of what we just covered was done in the planning commission. I know you guys have probably seen that.
Yep.
So there was one point where the property was listed for sale. My wife and I we bid out a house. We were gonna build it on it as promised by the county when it was still county, and it was too much money. So I work in the construction, talked to one of my buddies, he listed that. Any documentation that was wrote on that listing, I had nothing to do with. I wasn't familiar. That's the first time I've ever heard it. The county did tell me from the start that this was a lot of record. This is a plattable piece of property. That's why it was purchased in the first place by my wife and my family. It's always been that way. As far as the driveway goes, we do have a permit from the county. We've known the Lafkeys for a long time, and the reason I didn't reach out to them is I'm new to this entire process. I didn't know if I should talk to them in between. Obviously willing to be a happy neighbor and chat with them and figure out what's needed.
Are you willing to do something that what's needed to screen the headlights so it's not flashing in there?
And so when you're actually on the driveway and you look, so there's about 400 feet, exactly 400 feet behind their house. There's a crest of a hill, and I think that's what in the planning commission, what he was concerned about is the crest of the hill and then lights turning down. After that, the driveway is actually below grade of their entire house. If I had to guess, this is an estimate, between 8 and 10 feet below their house after you come over that hill. I do understand the concern in a winter month from 400 feet through the timber. Do I know if it is necessary? I guess I would leave that up to you guys. It's something that could be worked out between neighbors. It's made out to be a huge ordeal, and it's really something relatively minor. The driveway is 67 feet wide. If at the top of that hill where the concern is coming over with headlights, if it needs pine trees or whatever it might be, I think that's doable. But to screen an entire 1,000-foot driveway seems difficult.
Right, and I don't think that wasn't in my mind, the screen.
Yeah, just a
piece of work
location and just a location.
that was hitting their house.
If yes.
That's where my thoughts are, is it just, you have something that has to be solved.
Yep.
And if we just basically state that needs to be solved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maintained, that solution maintained.
I'm a reasonable human, and I know they are too, and there's never been a controversy ever, and there's never been a reason to come talk to them until the planning commission happened, and I kind of froze. It was not an expectation that they would be here. But I'm happy they did, because you'd rather this come up now than than months from now, right? When things aren't absolute, so. I appreciate everyone's concern, coming over the hill. You know, a 50-foot section or whatever it is to block headlights seems reasonable.
Thank you.
Any thoughts?
So
This end of the
60
table, be
days-
quiet.
The 60 days is when?
Sometime this week, so we wouldn't make it to the next council meeting.
We haven't extended
We,
yet,
we have not extended the initial 60 days yet. That's correct.
so we could, do you council needs it?
I would recommend that and see if there can be an agreement between the two of them that satisfies both.
Yeah, I don't think we're the right people to solve it. I think they're the right people to solve it.
Yeah.
I think our prescriptions to solve these things don't work out real well for either party.
Correct.
If what I'm understanding, then they're solving it and we don't have to add any language in the
This point,
variances.
just.
It says the applicant will create a screening sufficient to shield headlights from the property.
Actually, I
I
think.
mean,
at this point,
or
we're
if we
let
just
them-
add that language, let them figure out what that means.
Right. I know there's just concerns about.
What does that mean?
How you enforce that and all that.
Right? Well, I mean, that's the tricky part, right?
But if you-
I mean, the enforcement piece with, is,
Point of
again, back to, if we solve it, the way we have to prescribe it is really difficult to enforce. It's really difficult to describe. It's much better left up by the two parties to handle on their own.
Point of information. I just want to make sure I'm straight on this. We are extending this thing, the time frame for it.
That's the option.
That is the.
That's one thing we're
that is an
discussing.
option.
That's what we're
We are-
discussing.
We could extend that, allow them to come up with a solution, giving them another 60 days to do that. And bring the solution to us, and then we could rule on it essentially, granting variance with restrictions. Or we need to add language and pass it now, or we need to deny it. We have basically three things we can do. Is that?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Soderbach, you can deny the variance. You can grant the variance without a condition. You can grant the variance with a condition. What I understood the reason for tabling would be you're considering a condition and you want to see if the parties would agree so that the applicant would stand up at the microphone and say, I consent to this condition on my variance. And then you're approving a variance that you know is acceptable to the applicant and hopefully has satisfied or at least mitigated the concerns of those who were
Yeah.
unhappy about aspects of this process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there, I get one other question, I guess, and that might have to go to you. Is there a timing issue with this? I mean, we're probably looking for a permit to do this stuff for spring. But, you know, is there a cost or a peril for a delay?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you delay it to whatever
To
meeting,
allow them to do that?
yeah, I mean, 60 days, I don't know how quickly they would come to an agreement on their own. They could come in
So
one
we don't
day,
have
they
to,
could come
we don't
in-
have to give 60 days.
Right, we don't.
Right. That's
Our
just-
our extension,
Allows.
But I'm just
Allows for
asking,
60 days, but
I guess.
Well,
what
so
I'm
they
asking-
still-
we could table it till the,
Yeah.
call it next meeting
Yeah.
on the 19th or
We could
the.
go outside and talk for 10 minutes. And I'll figure it out.
So that's why I say, we could table,
Yeah.
ask for, we'd have to request an extension from the applicant, right?
No,
Or-
not for the first
Okay.
one. If you went past this other 60 days, then they would have
Right.
to consent to it.
So we could agree to an extension tonight,
Mhm.
give us 60 days, but yet ask the applicant to give us information on whether he's worked with the property owner next door by the 19th, so that we can have it right on the next agenda again.
Correct, yeah. I mean, there is a little delay because like he still has to come back. It should the variance be approved for preliminary plat and whenever that aligns with noticing deadlines and things like that. So of course it delays the process.
Right,
for
so then we're
any sort
probably
of
looking at the end
permits.
of February for probably even longer than that, if he's ready for plat and all that, yes.
So the preliminary plats were submitted as site plans for this. I'm not aware if there'd be any updates they might, if there's a screening, they might choose to show that on their plans and
Right.
amend them slightly. But to keep it moving for the February 19th planning commission and we'd have to have the application in by the last week of January to have it published that first week of February to get on the agenda.
Yeah. I would say if we're gonna do this, we would ask this to be back on the 19th,
Mhm.
if that's what the council wishes to do.
Yeah,
Okay, who's gonna make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll take Abe's second. Just because this end of the table's been quiet on this. So just make sure so since you didn't state a motion, your motion is to table the issue,
Till the 19th.
use our extension, have this back on the agenda with a resolution from the applicant and the neighbor on January 19th.
Yes.
And Abe, that's what you
Yeah.
seconded? Okay. We have a motion by Schomer, second by Zanto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. So,
Oh, can I just
Yep.
add
yeah,
to the applicants that we would want, if you were to submit something in writing to the city on that, we would need it by January 15th to get in the packet, like the morning of the 15th
yeah.
at the latest. Or you can come in person, but yeah, I'm just letting you know.
Cool.
To keep
Yeah.
it on the 19th agenda.
Looks like Brian needs your phone number. If that's what this means. All right. Sounds good. 7.6, approved candidate for accounting technician position. Sue,
Yes.
hi.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. The city had advertised for an accounting technician in November. As of December 19th, we received five applicants. And after reviewing the applications, 3 candidates were chosen to interview based on their previous accounting experience. So Mayor Kosek, Councilmember Zanto, and myself held interviews on December 22nd. Based on those interviews, it was decided to give a conditional offer to Jennifer Spalding, and attached is the conditional offer contingent on the city council approval.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue.
You're
Council
welcome.
members, any questions or comments? Okay. Anybody ready to make a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Jay. Motion is second to approve the candidate Jennifer Spalding for the accounting technician position. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. 7.7, Scott County Law Enforcement Service Agreement. Administrator Jelinski.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So last meeting, you all had approved the law enforcement agreement with the addition of the following statement of adding any increase in the annual total cost shall be consistent with attached Exhibit A, which is the financial statement, and cannot exceed 3% of the total cost for the preceding calendar year unless otherwise agreed to in writing by the city. And then also changing the clerk name because they still had Karen Donovan. So I brought that back to the county. They were not in agreement with that. They would like to propose to the city of, instead of 3%, a 5% increase with city approval because of the costs of everything, and then a reduction in the termination timeframe from 180 days down to 90 days, which they say gives both parties a minimum of 60 days for consideration after next year's fee is shared by August 1st. So I didn't include the agreement because they did not update it from what you saw last time, but those would do the 2 changes based on everything else is the same, except for those 2 changes from the changes that the council had made to their agreement or your agreement to them. So that is their proposal to the council for your consideration. I think it's a fair negotiation. Again, 5% would not be without your approval first. So, I mean, you can, like, it was, 3.25% increase, was the employee relation director, for the compensation matrix for 26 and, their 3-year labor agreement according to the county's email, which I included in the packet, so.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Council members, questions or comments?
Yeah. We've seen fuel costs go down this year. We've seen a lot of things. We've seen an inflation rate that's been coming down. And we're looking at escalating, just 5%. 5% is, might be more realistic to them, but I'm trying to justify it. Where does that come from? That we're seeing prices come down, we're seeing costs come down. We're seeing raises not as quick. We're seeing them, there's just a few things that are coming down. And this has got an escalation in it. And I'm just wondering if there's maybe we need to go back one more time and talk about that a little bit. But I'm okay with if you have costs and they're justifiable costs and somebody can say, hey, this is what it's costing us. And they're looking for essentially a reimbursement of those inflated costs. Great, but to just arbitrarily say, yeah, we're gonna just, we're gonna throw in an escalation of the contract of 5% per year. I'm not okay with that.
Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not saying that's automatically gonna be 5%.
No.
They're saying that
No,
that's the max, right?
Before they have to get our approval.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so the original contract did not have any percentage.
Mhm.
Thought I had 3%.
They didn't have any percentage. You last
That's right.
time wanted to include
Yeah,
a
we
3% max.
Yeah,
Um,
we did.
and so,
It's
so we brought
3% in the old contract.
the last 5-year contract.
Yeah.
This contract
had
that
nothing in there.
they had nothing. So
Mhm.
we added back in a 3%
Right.
Right.
maximum.
So
So
we asked them to quantify it
yes,
and they did, and they didn't agree with our quantification.
Correct.
of it.
They threw out that example of 3.25% increase in
right.
labor, so therefore that's already over 3%. So
Correct.
you have to make it 5, so they
So
padded
what are
it
we
by
supposed to
another
settle it for? I mean,
It's
it's,
better than having nothing in there.
Mhm.
I
I
just
think
wanted to.
they know what their labor costs in their contract is gonna be over the next 3 years.
well, then maybe
Right,
they
so
should
they-
try to justify that to us in some way. I'm just,
Yeah.
I know you asked for people to give quotes and do everything else and throw up the. I'm kind of leaning that way on this.
They're gonna go over 5% anyway. They've been going over. I think this year's contract was 8.7%
Yeah.
increase. So
Yeah.
to me, it was just making sure that they just don't do it without us looking at it first. I mean, I
Yeah.
get your point. I wish it was 3%.
Yeah. But I mean, if we were to, maybe we go back and we just say we're gonna have to look at, they need, I just don't wanna see an automatic escalation. It's, hey, we can have that. We can have up to 5% before we actually show you the paperwork, just because we said so. We just have this. I'm fine with paying for costs, but. Just to,
But that's part of the contract is that it is cost and they have to demonstrate to that anyways. They give us that cost sheet, right? So it's not like it comes blindly without it being justified, right?
Right.
So you do get that sheet with all the rates and all the pieces of the budget. So it's not a blind.
so, and then, I mean,
piece
looking
right
at this otherwise, it's not, this doesn't really read to me like it's an absolute cap either.
It's
not.
not cap.
No.
They've gone over the 3%.
Right, so that's again,
Right.
to Bill's point earlier, that
No, but
the
nor is
5%
the
really
5.
doesn't matter a
Nor
whole
is the
lot
5.
because it's likely that it could be higher than that anyway.
Right. I wish it was 3, but I'd be acceptable too.
Yeah, I think at this
Would
point,
be.
you're starting to split hairs at this point and you're gonna go back and forth on something.
I agree with you
Not
on
get,
that.
any. You're not gonna get to, going to 4 isn't gonna be any different than being next to that.
Yeah, I was being facetious.
I'll make a motion that Steve accepts the county's counter proposal and add it to the language of the contract and then sign the contract.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion on this side before we take a vote? No? No.
I mean, adjusting it down to 90 days, I mean, what are we gonna do in 90 days?
Yeah. Well, that's the opportunity is right. If we decide we don't want it,
Right.
right?
But
Yeah.
what are we gonna do?
We,
I mean-
we need to decide, we would have to decide that long before we get to that 90-day mark. Yeah.
Community policing.
Maybe. I don't know the right answer here, but maybe we work at seeing if we can create some KPIs to understand number of calls that are non-deputy initiated, to understand
The groups that run.
when we need more than 2 deputies.
You know what I'm saying?
That's in the report, whether it's deputy initiated. or-
Right, but I think they've already made a statement that we're gonna need a 3rd soon.
Yeah, they did.
And so now, instead of a 255, we're gonna be at, 390. As soon as we had a 3rd one. Actually, it's gonna be more than that because we're gonna need holidays and PTOs. I mean, it's gonna significantly increase that, and I think we need to start dialogues sooner than later. I'm not opposed to that motion, but I just feel like we need to start having these conversations sooner than later, so we don't start having them say we need 3 when I frankly have a hard time seeing that we need 2 all the time. I understand that they can't cover more than 40 hours a week. I do get that, but the number of calls we get that are not officer initiated are not increasing. So I think we should be looking at that.
What can we do to help you lower your costs? Like,
Right.
like, we don't want you to come to the alarms or something like, I'm not saying that, that's.
No,
I'm saying,
agreed.
the.
And public safety is the most important thing. I'm not
Yes,
saying
right.
that, but how do we make sure that we just rein the costs in so it just doesn't go into
We can
whatever.
definitely invite the sheriff and his team to come have a workshop with us,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's,
And maybe that's,
right. I mean, that's the
Before
dialogue.
Next year's contract. or-
yeah, maybe that's what we have as one of the work sessions. I think that's great.
I mean, there's Luke and his team are always open to those conversations, right? I mean, they're trying to, this is the only one of these that they do.
Spring Lake,
No.
who does the Spring Lake?
So again, township, so in the township world, they get whoever happens to be on duty wherever they are in the county.
But it's the county sheriff,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
We didn't have a contract when we were township,
We did,
we did.
yes.
Why did it in Spring Lake have a contract?
They're, close to half the population of Credit River.
Okay.
Yeah. This was something that the sheriff brought up long before we became a city, that it was, hey, your call volume in Credit River is causing a stir amongst other people in the county. Because part of this, as I said last time, a little bit this is political, right? Comparatively, you've got the townships that rely on the sheriff. Whether that's right or wrong, that's not our decision. We can't make that, right? Because in other counties that happens differently. If we're taking up those resources that happen to be on duty, then, we should cover some of those and make sure that there's plenty of officers to cover what they already have agreed to cover, right? So that was the piece to it. The other side of that then is, here's Credit River, doesn't have their own police force like all the rest of the cities in Scott County. And if they feel like we're getting something that they're not, then they start getting their bug in the county commissioner's ears and puts the sheriff in a little bit of a bad position with the county board. So part of this is balancing that act a little bit, right? We have a pretty good deal going that we don't have to have our own police department, right?
I don't think we want to start either.
No,
No.
maybe we just need a history lesson in a workshop so we can.
Yeah, we could talk
get some
about that.
history
Yeah.
and understand how we got here and how to ensure that we don't have runaway costs in the future.
Mhm. All right, so at this point, I've got a motion and a second to approve the 2026 to 2031 Scott County Law Enforcement Services Agreement. I'll take that vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Jeez. All right, staff and council member updates.
Nothing wrong.
We have utility bills that will be out later this week for those that receive those. They are a little bit late with staff turnover, but they will be out this week. So thank you for your patience. Appreciate it.
Perfect, thank you. Abe,
Nope.
Leroy?
Oh, I was the one that added the permit tech, but after talking to Steven, he's gonna have that on in the future here, so.
Okay. You got nothing going, Jay? Bill?
No, we had city governance session last week. We have our second follow-up one tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Claire, anything?
No, nothing that.
Linda? No?
Nothing.
Can I make the motion to adjourn?
You can make the motion adjourn. Perfect. Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.
Who's second?
Leroy did.